Admiral Kang Hyun stood on the bridge of the research vessel Deep Explorer, watching the ocean stretch endlessly in all directions. The Pacific Ocean looked calm today, but beneath its surface, something strange was happening. For 3 days, now his equipment had been picking up unusual readings from the deepest part of the ocean. "Sir, the readings are getting stronger," said Lieutenant Choi Dae, looking up from his control panel. His young face showed worry. "Whatever is down there, it's big. Really big." Kang Hyun walked over to look at the screen. The sonar showed something massive moving far below them, deeper than any submarine could go. The shape was too regular, to be natural, too large to be any known human structure. "How deep?" he asked. 11 kilometers down, sir. Right at the bottom of the Mariana Trench." Kang Hyun frowned. Nothing should be that deep. The pressure alone would crush any known material. Yet their instruments clearly showed something was there, and it was moving. "Send another probe down," he ordered. "I want better images." Meanwhile, thousands of kilometers above Earth, alien ships watched and waited. They had been watching for 300 years, keeping careful distance from the blue planet. The beings inside these ships looked nothing like humans. Some had too many arms, others had scales instead of skin, and some existed as pure energy. But they all shared one thing: fear. Commander Vextal of the Valdari Empire studied the reports coming from his spy ships. His red eyes glowed with anger as he read the data. For centuries, they had waited for the right moment to invade Earth. The humans below had no idea that aliens existed. They would be easy to conquer. But the readings from Earth's ocean changed everything. "Are you certain these readings are correct?" Vextal asked his science officer. "Yes, Commander. The energy signature matches the old records. It's waking up." Vextal's hands tightened into fists. The old record spoke of something terrible sleeping beneath Earth's ocean, something so dangerous that every alien race in the galaxy had agreed to leave Earth alone. They had hoped it would never wake up. "How long before it fully awakens?" Vextal demanded. "Unknown, sir. Could be days, could be years. But the process has begun." Back on Earth, Dr. Park Mina was having the strangest day of her career. She studied deep-sea life, creatures that lived in the darkest parts of the ocean. Her underwater cameras usually showed fish, small creatures, and empty ocean floor. Today was different. Her cameras were showing structures, not natural rock formations, but clearly artificial walls and passages. They stretched as far as her cameras could see, disappearing into the darkness. The structures looked ancient, but were made of materials she couldn't identify. "This is impossible," she muttered, staring at her computer screen. She had been studying the deep ocean for 15 years and had never seen anything like this. Her assistant, Jo Bin, leaned over her shoulder. "Maybe it's some kind of underwater city, like Atlantis." Park Mina shook her head. "Jo Bin, this is real science, not fairy tales. But you're right that this shouldn't exist." She picked up her phone and called Admiral Kang Hyun. They had worked together before on deep-sea research projects. If anyone would believe her findings, it would be him. "Admiral, this is Dr. Park. You need to see what I've found." An hour later, Kang Hyun was looking at Park Mina's images. His face was pale as he compared them to his own sonar readings. The structures she had photographed matched exactly with the massive shape his equipment had detected. "How big do you think this thing is?" he asked. Park Mina pulled up a map on her computer. "Based on the sonar data and my camera images, I think it covers an area larger than South Korea. And it goes deep, Admiral. Deeper than should be possible." "What kind of materials could survive that deep for so long?" "That's what worries me," Park Mina said. "These materials shouldn't exist. The pressure down there would destroy anything we know how to make. Yet this structure looks like it was built yesterday. In the depths of the ocean, ancient machines that had slept for thousands of years began to hum with power. Lights that had been dark since before human civilization flickered to life. Computer systems older than recorded history started running diagnostic checks. Deep in the center of the massive structure, something even more ancient began to stir. It was huge beyond imagination, part machine and part something that might once have been alive. Cables thicker than subway tunnels connected to a form that filled a chamber the size of a city. For the first time in millennia, thoughts began to flow through its vast consciousness. Slow thoughts at first, like a giant waking from deep sleep. Memory files that had been dormant started to activate. The entity began to remember who it was and why it was there. It was the Guardian, Earth's protector, humanity's ultimate weapon. The Guardian's awakening sent signals into space, signals that traveled faster than light through dimensions humans hadn't discovered yet. These signals reached alien monitoring stations across the galaxy, causing panic among creatures who remembered the old stories. On the planet Kelthera, General Zoxon of the Corvin hegemony received an emergency alert. His blue-scaled hands shook as he read the message. The Terran Guardian was awakening. He immediately sent a priority message to his superiors. Code Black. The sleeper stirs. Recommend immediate withdrawal of all forces from Sol Sector. Similar messages were being sent across the galaxy. The Zephyrin Syndicate, the Malthari Collective, and dozens of other alien civilizations all received the same terrifying news. The thing they had hoped would sleep forever was waking up. Back on Earth, President Nam Gil was having a normal day until his science advisor burst into his office. "Sir, we need to talk. Something is happening in the Pacific Ocean." Nam Gil listened as his advisor explained the strange readings and underwater structures. It sounded like science fiction, but the evidence was clear. "What do you think it is?" Nam Gil asked. "We don't know, sir. But whatever it is, it's been there a very long time. And it's starting to become active." Nam Gil made a decision that would change human history. "I want our best scientists on this, and I want answers." Dr. Kim Sora was one of those scientists. She studied ancient civilizations, trying to understand how humans had lived thousands of years ago. When she was asked to join the deep-sea investigation, she thought it was a mistake. "I study old pottery and stone tools," she told Admiral Kang Hyun. "I don't know anything about underwater structures." "That's exactly why we need you," Kang Hyun replied. "These structures are old, really old. We need someone who understands ancient civilizations." When Kim Sora saw the underwater images, she forgot all her doubts. The structures showed clear signs of advanced engineering, but the style was unlike anything in human history. Yet something about them felt familiar. "These symbols," she said, pointing to markings on the walls. "They look almost like writing, but not any writing system I know." She spent days studying the images, comparing them to every ancient language she knew. Slowly, patterns began to emerge. The symbols weren't random. They were definitely a form of writing, but incredibly advanced. "Admiral," she said during one of their meetings, "I think this writing is telling a story, but it's not a story about humans as we know them." "What do you mean?" Kim Sora pulled up her translations on the computer. "According to these symbols, humans once lived among the stars. We had an empire that spanned the galaxy. Earth wasn't our homeworld, it was our fortress." Kang Hyun stared at her in disbelief. "That's impossible. Humans have only had space travel for a few decades." "That's what I thought too. But the evidence is here. These records speak of great wars fought across space. They mention weapons that could destroy entire star systems. And they talk about something called the Guardian." As Kim Sora spoke, more lights came on in the deep ocean structure. The Guardian's consciousness grew stronger with each passing hour. Ancient memories became clearer. It remembered its purpose: to protect humanity at all costs. The Guardian also remembered the Great War that had driven humanity back to Earth. Enemies so powerful that even humanity's advanced technology couldn't defeat them. So humanity had made a desperate choice. They had poured all their knowledge, all their power into creating the ultimate protector. Then they had erased their own memories and hidden on Earth, pretending to be a primitive species while the Guardian healed from its wounds. Now the healing was almost complete. The Guardian was ready to awaken fully. But first it needed to know if humanity was still safe. Sensors that had been dormant for thousands of years began scanning Earth's surface. The Guardian saw cities, roads, and millions of humans living in peace. It also detected something else: alien ships watching from space. The Guardian's consciousness expanded further, reaching into the electromagnetic spectrum. It listened to radio signals, television broadcasts, and internet communications. In seconds, it learned everything about modern human civilization. Humans had forgotten their true history, just as planned. They believed they were alone in the universe. They had no idea that alien fleets surrounded their planet, held back only by fear of the sleeping Guardian. The Guardian was pleased. The plan had worked. Humanity had survived and grown while it slept. Now it was time to wake up and take its place as Earth's protector once again. Dr. Park Mina was the first to notice the change. Her underwow. Captain Lee Jun had been chosen to lead the first manned mission to explore the underwater structure. He was Earth's best deep-sea pilot, someone who could handle the pressure and dangers of the deepest ocean. But nothing had prepared him for what he was about to discover. The submarine Deep-Seeker was specially built for this mission. It could dive deeper than any submarine before it, and was equipped with the most advanced cameras and sensors available. As Lee Jun and his team descended toward the Mariana Trench, they watched their depth gauge climb higher and higher. 10 kilometers down, reported Dr. Yoon Hana, the team's geologist. The pressure readings are incredible. We're deeper than Mount Everest is tall. 11 kilometers, Lee Jun announced. We should be seeing the structure soon. Suddenly, their lights illuminated something that made everyone gasp. Massive walls rose from the ocean floor, stretching up and down as far as they could see. The walls were smooth and perfect, made of a material that gleamed like metal but felt warm and alive. "This is impossible," whispered Dr. Shin Yuri, the team's physicist. "These walls are perfectly straight. No human civilization could have built this." Lee Jun guided the submarine along the wall, looking for an entrance. After an hour of searching, they found an opening large enough for their submarine. The entrance was clearly designed for something to pass through, but it was much larger than any submarine Earth had ever built. "Should we go inside?" asked Dr. Yoon Hana nervously. Lee Jun made the decision that would change everything. "We came here to explore. Let's see what's inside." As soon as their submarine entered the structure, lights began turning on automatically. The passage they entered was enormous, wide enough to fit several city blocks. The walls were covered with the same strange symbols Dr. Kim Sora had been studying. "The symbols are everywhere," Dr. Shin Yuri observed, recording everything with her cameras. "This whole place is covered in writing." They traveled through the passage for what felt like hours. The structure seemed to go on forever, with passages branching off in all directions. Finally, they reached a vast open space that made them all fall silent. They were in a chamber so large they couldn't see the walls on the other side. In the center of this chamber was something that defied all understanding. It was enormous, easily the size of a small city. Part of it looked like machinery, with cables and pipes connecting different sections. But other parts looked organic, like they were alive. "What is that thing?" Dr. Yoon Hana whispered. The entity in the chamber was clearly the heart of the entire structure. Cables as thick as subway tunnels connected to what might have been a head, though it was so large and strange that it was hard to tell. Lights pulsed along these cables in rhythmic patterns, like a heartbeat. Dr. Shin Yuri checked her instruments. "I'm detecting massive amounts of energy. This thing is definitely alive, or at least active. The power readings are off the charts." As they watched, more lights began turning on throughout the chamber. The entity was waking up more fully, and they were witnessing its awakening. "We need to document everything," Lee Jun said, though his voice shook slightly. "This is the most important discovery in human history." Back on the surface, Dr. Kim Sora was making breakthrough after breakthrough in translating the ancient symbols. With each new image from the submarine, she discovered more pieces of the incredible story hidden in the deep-sea structure. "Admiral Kang Hyun, you need to see this," she called urgently. When he arrived, Kim Sora showed him her latest translations. "I've figured out more of the story. According to these records, humans didn't originate on Earth. We came from somewhere else, somewhere among the stars. That's impossible, Kang Hyun replied. Humans evolved on Earth. We have fossil evidence. Kim Sora shook her head. The records are very clear. Ancient humans had technology we can't even imagine. They could travel between stars as easily as we travel between cities. They had weapons that could destroy entire planets. She pulled up more of her translations. But something went wrong. There was a great war. Enemies so powerful that even humanity's advanced technology couldn't defeat them. So our ancestors made a desperate plan. What kind of plan? They created the Guardian. They put all their knowledge, all their technology, all their power into one ultimate protector. But the cost was enormous. They had to give up their empire, their colonies, even their memories of who they really were. Kang Hyun studied the translations carefully. You're saying that modern humans are descendants of an ancient star empire? Yes, but we were made to forget. It was the only way to hide from our enemies until the Guardian could heal and protect us again. As if responding to their conversation, the Guardian in the deep chamber began to stir more actively. Its vast consciousness was becoming clearer as more of its systems came online. Memory banks that had been dormant for thousands of years started, providing information about humanity's true history. The Guardian remembered the Great War that had driven humanity back to Earth. The enemy had been relentless, pursuing humans across the galaxy with weapons that could shatter space itself. Humanity had been the strongest force in the galaxy, but even they couldn't fight an enemy that seemed to grow stronger with each battle. So humanity had made the ultimate sacrifice. They had gathered their greatest minds, their most powerful warriors, their most advanced technology, and combined them all into the Guardian. It was designed to be the perfect protector, capable of defending Earth against any threat. But creating the Guardian required more than just technology. It required human consciousness itself. Millions of humans had volunteered to have their minds uploaded into the Guardian, becoming part of its vast intelligence. They gave up their individual existence to become part of something greater. The remaining humans on Earth had their memories altered. They forgot about their star empire, their advanced technology, their enemies among the stars. They became simple, peaceful people who believed they were alone in the universe. This was their protection. As long as they appeared primitive and harmless, their enemies wouldn't see them as a threat. The Guardian had been programmed to sleep until humanity was ready to reclaim its heritage, or until Earth faced a serious threat. Now, after thousands of years of slumber, it was finally waking up. Meanwhile, in space, alien fleets that had been watching Earth for centuries were beginning to panic. The energy readings from Earth's ocean were unmistakable. Every alien civilization in the galaxy had records of what happened when the Terran Guardian was active. Commander Vestan of the Valdari Empire called an emergency meeting with his fleet. Commanders. His red eyes glowed with anger and fear as he addressed them. The Guardian stirs. Our spies confirm that the ancient protector of Earth is awakening. One of his commanders, a younger officer named Keldan, spoke up. Sir, perhaps this is our chance. If we attack now while it's still waking up, we might be able to destroy it before it reaches full power. Vextal's expression became deadly, serious. Keldan, you clearly don't understand what we're dealing with. The Guardian isn't just a weapon, it's the collective will of the human race given form. When it was last active, it didn't just defeat enemies. It made them disappear completely. He activated a holographic display showing ancient battle records. Entire fleets would attack Earth and simply vanish. No wreckage, no survivors, no trace they had ever existed. The Guardian didn't just destroy them, it erased them from reality itself. The alien commanders watched the recordings in silence. The images showed massive battles fought in space around Earth. Alien fleets with thousands of ships would approach the planet, only to encounter a single entity. The Guardian appeared as a shifting form that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions at once. When it moved, entire sections of space would simply cease to exist. That was thousands of years ago, another commander said nervously. Surely it can't be as powerful now. Vestal shook his head. The Guardian was designed to grow stronger over time. It's been sleeping and healing for millennia. When it wakes up fully, it will be more powerful than ever. Back on Earth, more teams were being sent to explore the underwater structure. Each new expedition discovered chambers and passages that seemed to go on forever. The structure wasn't just large. It appeared to extend through the Earth itself, with passages that defied physics. Dr. Park Mina was studying the biological aspects of the Guardian when she made a disturbing discovery. "Admiral, I don't think this thing is entirely artificial." "What do you mean, look at these scans?" "Parts of it show cellular structure, but cells unlike anything on Earth. It's like someone took human biology and advanced it thousands of years into the future." Admiral Kang Hyun studied the data. "Are you saying this thing is alive?" "More than alive. It's evolved. The Guardian appears to be part machine, part advanced human, and part something else entirely. It's what humans might become if we developed for millions of years." As they spoke, the Guardian was reviewing everything that had happened on Earth during its long sleep. Through satellites and communication networks, it observed modern human civilization. It saw cities full of people, technologies that were primitive compared to humanity's ancient capabilities, but showed promise. The Guardian was pleased. Humanity had survived and thrived while it slept. Across the galaxy, ancient alert systems that had been silent for thousands of years suddenly came to life. On the planet Zephyra Prime, home to the Zephyrin Syndicate, emergency sirens wailed through crystal cities as automated archives opened, files that had been sealed since before recorded history. High Chancellor Morin of the Zephyrin Syndicate stood before a massive display showing energy readings from the Sol system. Her silver skin gleamed with nervous sweat as she read reports that made her ancient blood run cold. "Are these readings confirmed?" she asked her science advisor. "Yes, Chancellor. The Terran Guardian's energy signature matches the patterns from the old archives. It's not just awakening. It's approaching full operational status." Morin closed her eyes and tried to calm her racing hearts. The Zephyrins had 3 hearts, and right now, all of them were beating far too fast. She had hoped never to see this day. "Send immediate messages to all member worlds. Emergency Protocol 7 is now in effect. All ships are to withdraw from the Sol sector immediately." "What about our trade routes through that system?" "Abandon them. We'll find other routes. Nothing is worth risking the Guardian's attention." Similar scenes were playing out across dozens of alien worlds. The Corvan hegemony, a warrior race that had never retreated from any battle, began pulling their fleets back from Earth's solar system. The Malthari Collective, beings of pure energy who thought themselves superior to all physical life, started evacuating their research stations. They all remembered the stories their ancestors had passed down, stories of a single entity that could face entire armadas and win. Stories of fleets that approached Earth and simply vanished, leaving no trace they had ever existed. On Earth, Lieutenant Choi Dai was the first human to notice the strange activity in space. He was working the night shift at the Deep Space Monitoring Station, a facility that tracks satellites and space debris. Tonight, his screens were showing something unprecedented. "This can't be right," he muttered, adjusting his equipment. The readings showed hundreds of objects in Earth's outer solar system, moving in patterns that were clearly artificial. They were too large to be asteroids and too organized to be natural phenomena. Choi Dae called his supervisor immediately. "Sir, I think we have a problem. There are a lot of unknown objects in the outer system." Within an hour, every space agency on Earth was confirming the same thing. There were ships out there, lots of them, and they were clearly not human. President Nam Gil received the news while eating breakfast with his family. The call from his defense secretary changed everything. "Mr. President, we need you at the Situation Room immediately. We've discovered that Earth is surrounded by alien spacecraft." Nam Gil's coffee cup stopped halfway to his mouth. "Alien spacecraft, are you certain?" "Completely certain, sir. They appear to have been watching us for some time, and sir, they're not approaching. They're moving away from us." This last detail puzzled everyone. If aliens had come to Earth, why were they leaving? The answer lay in the deep ocean, where the Guardian was continuing its awakening process. The massive entity had spent the night reviewing thousands of years of galactic history through quantum data streams that connected to networks across space. It learned about every alien civilization, their current locations, their military capabilities, and most importantly, their intentions toward Earth. The Guardian was not pleased with what it discovered. Captain Lee Jun was leading another expedition into the underwater structure when the Guardian made direct contact for the first time. His submarine was exploring a new section when suddenly every screen and speaker came to life. A voice spoke, to them, using perfect Korean but with a tone that seemed to come from everywhere at once. It was deep and powerful like the sound of mountains moving. "Children of Earth, do not fear. I am your guardian, awakened to protect you once more." Lee Jun and his team sat in stunned silence. They were talking to the massive entity they had been studying. You can speak to us?" Lee Jun managed to ask. "I can do far more than speak, young captain. I am the collective consciousness of your ancestors, given form to protect humanity. I have slept while you grew and learned. Now I wake because enemies surround your world." Dr. Shin Yuri leaned forward to her microphone. "Guardian, we've lost our history. We don't remember our ancestors or their empire. This was by design, child of science. Your ancestors chose to forget rather than live in fear. But the time for forgetting is ending. Your species is ready to reclaim its heritage." The Guardian began sharing images directly with their minds. Suddenly, Lee Jun and his team could see visions of ancient human civilization. They saw cities that floated among the stars, ships that could cross the galaxy in moments, and humans who had evolved beyond current understanding. But they also saw the Great War that had driven humanity back to Earth. The enemy was vast and merciless, a force that consumed entire star systems. Even humanity's advanced technology couldn't stop them permanently. "So our ancestors created you," Dr. Yoon Hana said, understanding beginning to dawn. "Yes, they poured everything they were into my creation. Their knowledge, their power, their very souls became part of me. I am humanity's will made manifest, its desire to survive and protect given physical form." Meanwhile, on the surface, world leaders were struggling to understand what was happening. Reports of alien ships, mysterious underwater entities, and impossible ancient technologies were overwhelming governments around the globe. Dr. Kim Sora was working frantically to translate more of the ancient records when she made a discovery that changed everything. Hidden in the deepest sections of the underwater structure were archives that told the complete story of humanity's past. "Admiral Kang Hyun, you need to see this immediately," she called. When he arrived, Kim Sora showed him translations that revealed the truth about Earth's current situation. "According to these records, the alien races watching us aren't here to invade. They're here because they're afraid." "Afraid of what?" "Of us. Of what we used to be. Admiral, humanity wasn't just another species with an empire. We were the dominant force in the galaxy. Other races either served us, hid from us, or tried to fight us and lost." Kim Sora pulled up more translations. These records describe weapons that could rewrite the laws of physics, ships that existed in multiple dimensions at once, and humans who had evolved beyond anything we can imagine. The Guardian was our ultimate creation, designed to ensure that nothing could ever threaten humanity again. But if we were so powerful, what happened? Why did we end up on Earth with no memory of any of this? The enemy was something new, something that fed on advanced technology and grew stronger with each victory. Traditional warfare only made it more powerful, so humanity made the ultimate sacrifice. They gave up their empire, their technology, their memories, everything, to create the Guardian and hide on Earth. As Kim Sora explained this, the Guardian was taking action. Its consciousness expanded beyond Earth's ocean, reaching out through quantum fields to touch the minds of every alien commander in the solar system. Commander Vextal of the Valdari Empire was reviewing invasion plans when suddenly his mind was filled with images. He saw the Guardian as it truly was, not just a weapon, but the collective will of billions of humans who had chosen to become something greater than individual existence. The images showed him what happened to races that threatened Earth. They didn't just die or get defeated. They were removed from existence itself, erased from reality so completely that even their memory disappeared from the universe. Vextal's red skin turned pale as he realized the Guardian wasn't just awake. It was studying him, learning about his plans, his weaknesses, his entire civilization. He could feel its vast intelligence examining every detail of his species' technology and finding it primitive by comparison. All ships, retreat immediately, he ordered his fleet. Maximum speed, leave the system now. The same scene played out across the alien fleets. Every commander who had been planning to invade Earth suddenly found themselves face to face with a consciousness so advanced and powerful that resistance seemed impossible. But not all aliens were hostile. The Pelori, a peaceful race of plant-like beings, had been watching Earth with curiosity rather than malice. When the Guardian touched their ambassador's mind, the experience was different. Ambassador Veltar of the Pelori felt warmth and welcome from the Guardian's contact. The entity recognized that her people meant no harm to humanity. "Ancient Protector," Veltar communicated back, "my people have watched over your children during your sleep. We have prevented others from approaching too closely." The Guardian's response filled her with a sense of gratitude. "Your kindness is noted and appreciated, small gardener. When humanity reclaims the stars, the Pelori will be welcome among them." On Earth, seismic activity was increasing as the Guardian prepared for more direct action. Dr. Yoon Hana monitored readings that showed massive changes happening beneath every continent. "Admiral, it's not just the ocean structure. There are similar facilities under every major landmass on Earth. They're all coming online simultaneously." Admiral Kang Hyun studied the global readings with growing amazement. "How is that possible? We've never detected anything like this before." The facilities were designed to... The Guardian reached full consciousness at exactly 3:47 a.m. Pacific time. Every quantum communication array in the known galaxy registered the moment as reality itself seemed to shiver. On Earth, sensitive individuals around the world woke from sleep with the sudden feeling that something momentous had just occurred. The Guardian's voice, when it spoke, resonated through dimensions that human science had not yet discovered. Its message was simple but reached every corner of the galaxy instantly. "I am awake. Who threatens my children?" On the bridge of the Valdari command ship, Emperor Vextal felt the Guardian's words like physical blows. Each syllable carried such power that his ship's hull began to vibrate. He realized with horror that the Guardian wasn't just speaking to him. It was speaking to every being in the galaxy simultaneously. "Sir," reported his communications officer, her voice shaking, "we're receiving surrender requests from 17 different star systems. They all say they never meant any harm to Earth." Vextal understood their fear. The Guardian's awakening had sent a clear message across space. Earth was no longer undefended. But unlike the others, Vextal had come too far to retreat now. His empire had spent centuries preparing for this invasion. Their entire economy depended on conquering Earth's resources. "Prepare the planet-killer weapons," he ordered. "If we're going to do this, we strike before the Guardian reaches full power." His officers stared at him in shock. Planet-killer weapons were forbidden by every galactic treaty. They were designed to crack worlds apart, destroying all life on them. "Sir," his science officer protested, "using those weapons will make us enemies of every civilization in the galaxy." "We're already committed," Vextal replied grimly. "If we don't destroy Earth now, the Guardian will hunt us across space until our entire race is extinct. Our only chance is to strike first." The Valdari fleet began moving toward Earth, their most powerful weapons charging for an attack that would destroy the planet entirely. But they had made a critical mistake. They assumed the Guardian was still weak from its long sleep. On Earth, General Bektai was coordinating humanity's response to the crisis when every screen and communication device suddenly displayed the same message: "The enemy approaches. Do not fear." Within minutes, reports came flooding in from around the world. The ocean was rising, but not like a normal tide or tsunami. Water was being pushed upward by something enormous moving beneath it. Captain Lee Jun and his team, still inside the underwater structure, felt the movement firsthand. The massive chamber around them was shifting and changing as the Guardian prepared to emerge. "Guardian," Lee Jun called out. "What's happening?" The entity's voice surrounded them, calm but carrying enormous power. "The Valdari have chosen war over wisdom. They bring weapons designed to destroy planets. I must rise to meet them." Through the submarine's cameras, Lee Jun watched in amazement as the Guardian began to change form. The massive entity that had filled the chamber was compacting itself, becoming more dense and powerful. Cables and connections that had been spread across kilometers were pulling together into a more compact shape. "How large are you, really?" Dr. Shin Yuri asked. "Size is relative, child of science. In this dimension, I am several kilometers in length, but I exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. My true extent cannot be measured by your current mathematics." As the Guardian spoke, it was rising through the ocean. Water displaced by its movement created waves that reached shores around the Pacific, but the entity was careful to minimize damage to human settlements. Dr. Park Mina, monitoring from her surface research station, watched sonar readings that defied belief. Something the size of a small island was moving up through the water column, but it wasn't displacing water the way a normal object would. Instead, it seemed to be moving through space itself. "Admiral," she called Kang Hyun urgently. "You need to see this. Whatever that thing is, it's not following normal physics." The Guardian emerged from the Pacific Ocean at sunrise, and the sight stopped the world. It rose from the waves like a mountain coming to life. But its form was unlike anything in human experience. Part of it looked mechanical, with structures that gleamed like advanced metal. Other parts appeared organic, flowing and changing shape as needed. But the most unsettling aspect was that it seemed to exist in multiple places at once, as if the eye couldn't quite focus on its true form. News cameras around the world captured the emergence, broadcasting the impossible sight to billions of humans. The Guardian was clearly artificial, but it moved with the fluid grace of a living creature. As it rose fully from the ocean, it stretched nearly 10 kilometers into the sky. President Nam Gil watched the broadcast from the White House Situation Room, surrounded by advisors who were all struck speechless. Finally, he found his voice. "How do we communicate with something like that?" As if hearing his question, the Guardian's voice filled the room. "Leaders of Earth, I am your species' protector. You have forgotten your history, but I remember all. Trust in me, and no harm will come to your world." "Guardian," Namgil replied, speaking to the air since he didn't know where the entity's sensors were. "We don't understand what's happening. Are we really under attack?" "The Valdari Empire approaches with weapons capable of destroying planets. They believe Earth is defenseless. They are about to learn otherwise." In space, the Valdari fleet had reached the outer edge of Earth's solar system. Their planet-killer weapons were fully charged, ready to fire. Emperor Vextal gave the order to attack, setting in motion events that would reshape galactic politics forever. The weapons fired simultaneously, sending beams of pure destruction toward Earth. These were not normal weapons. They were designed to destabilize a planet's core, causing it to explode from within. Nothing known to galactic science could stop them once fired. But the Guardian was not bound by normal science. As the deadly beams raced toward Earth, the Guardian's form shifted again. Parts of its structure folded through dimensions that human eyes couldn't perceive. When the planet-killer beams reached Earth's atmosphere, they encountered something impossible. The Guardian had positioned itself across multiple dimensions simultaneously, creating a barrier that existed in spaces the Valdari weapons couldn't reach. The beam struck the barrier and simply disappeared, absorbed into dimensional folds that redirected their energy harmlessly into empty space. "Impossible," whispered Vexital, as his sensors reported that the planet-killer beams had been stopped. "Nothing can block those weapons." The Guardian's response came immediately, transmitted directly into every Valdari ship's communication system. Your weapons are obsolete, children of a younger race. Observe true power. What happened next would be remembered in galactic history as the day the stars trembled. The Guardian didn't fire weapons at the Valdari fleet. Instead, it simply reached out across space with abilities that transcended normal physics. Space around the Valdari ships began to change. The Guardian was rewriting the fundamental laws of physics in a localized area, making it impossible for the alien ships to exist in that region. One moment the fleet was there, the next moment the space they occupied simply rejected their presence. The Valdari ships didn't explode or get destroyed. They were edited out of reality, removed from existence so completely that even the memory of them began to fade. Only Emperor Vextal's flagship remained, deliberately spared so he could witness what had happened to his fleet. "This is impossible," Vextal said, his voice barely a whisper. Around his ship, empty space showed no trace that 1,000 other vessels had been there moments before. The Guardian's voice filled his ship once more. "Nothing is impossible for him. Those who transcend dimensional limitations. Your fleet chose to threaten my children. They have been removed from this reality permanently. What are you?" "I am humanity's will made manifest. I am the promise that Earth's children will never stand alone against the darkness. Your species may live, Emperor Vextal, but only if you never threaten humanity again." Vextal felt the Guardian's vast consciousness touching his mind, reading his thoughts and memories like an open book. The entity was learning everything about the Valdari Empire, their technology, their weaknesses, their entire civilization. "I have seen all you are," the Guardian continued. "Your species is young and acts from fear rather than wisdom. I will spare you, but know this. If any Valdari ever threatens Earth again, your entire race will join your fleet in non-existence." The lone Valdari ship fled Earth's solar system at maximum speed, carrying its terrified emperor back to his empire, with news that would change galactic politics forever. But the Guardian wasn't finished. Its consciousness expanded across the galaxy, touching the minds of leaders in every major civilization. The message was the same for all of them. Humanity has awakened to its heritage. Earth is under my protection. Any who wish peace with my children are welcome. Any who threaten them will cease to exist. On Earth, humans watched in amazement as their protector demonstrated power beyond imagination. But the Guardian's next action surprised everyone even more. Instead of remaining as a terrifying weapon in the sky, the Guardian began to change again. Its massive form started to separate into smaller sections, each one flowing through dimensional space to take up. The Guardian's awakening sent ripples through space-time that reached the farthest corners of the galaxy. These ripples carried a specific quantum signature that activated ancient devices hidden throughout space, devices that had been dormant since humanity's great retreat to Earth. Commander Omin was leading a routine space patrol near Earth's moon when his instruments detected something impossible. A massive structure was materializing in empty space, appearing from what seemed like nowhere. "Control, this is Patrol 7, he reported to Earth Command. "I'm seeing a structure approximately 5 kilometers long appearing near the lunar surface. It's not on any of our charts." The structure was clearly artificial, made of the same advanced materials as the Guardian. As Omin watched, more structures began appearing throughout Earth's solar system. They emerged from dimensional folds, where they had been hidden for millennia, taking up defensive positions around key locations. On Earth, the Guardian explained what was happening. "My awakening has activated the outer defense network. Your ancestors built these stations to protect not just Earth, but the entire solar system. They have waited in dimensional storage for my return." Dr. Shin Yuri, who had been studying the Guardian's technology, made a startling discovery. The quantum signatures from these new structures were triggering responses across the galaxy. Hidden human installations were powering up on distant worlds, revealing that humanity's ancient empire had left far more behind than anyone realized. "Guardian," she called out during one of her research sessions, "how extensive was humanity's original empire?" "Vast beyond current human comprehension, child of science. At our height, human influence extended across 17 galaxies. We built permanent installations on millions of worlds, most hidden and dormant until our return. The implications were staggering. Humanity hadn't just been a major galactic power, they had been the dominant force across multiple galaxies. Meanwhile, across space, alien civilizations were discovering just how thoroughly humanity had once controlled the galaxy. On the planet Kepler 442b, the Zephyrin archaeological team studying ancient ruins suddenly found themselves face to face with massive automated systems that were coming online. Dr. Velnash, the team's leader, watched in amazement as structures emerged from underground, clearly human in origin but impossibly advanced. These weren't just ruins. They were fully functional installations that had been waiting for thousands of years. "Central Command," she reported urgently. "The human ruins aren't ruins at all. They're operational facilities that were merely dormant." Similar discoveries were being made throughout the galaxy. Every major alien civilization realized that their worlds contained hidden human installations, all of which were now activating simultaneously. High Chancellor Morin of the Zephyrin Syndicate called an emergency session of the Galactic Council. Representatives from dozens of alien species gathered on the neutral world of Nexus Prime, all sharing the same urgent concern. "Fellow beings," Morin addressed the assembly, "we face an unprecedented situation. The awakening of the Terran Guardian has revealed that humanity never truly left the galaxy. Their installations are everywhere, and they're all coming online." General Colvin of the Corvin hegemony stood to speak. His warrior race had never shown fear in battle, but his voice shook slightly. "Our homeworld contains 17 human installations that have been hidden beneath our major cities. They could have destroyed us at any time during the past 1,000 years. The revelation sent shockwaves through the assembly. Humanity hadn't just retreated to Earth. They had left behind a vast network of hidden assets that could control or destroy any alien civilization that became hostile. Ambassador Peltron of the Malthari Collective shared the most disturbing discovery. "Our energy-based existence has allowed us to detect the true scope of human infrastructure. They didn't just build on habitable worlds. They built in empty space, in star cores, in dimensions we cannot access. The entire galaxy is threaded with dormant human technology." On Earth, humanity was adjusting to their new reality. The Guardian had begun sharing more advanced technologies, but carefully and slowly. Humans were learning to build faster-than-light communication systems, advanced medical technologies, and energy sources that seemed to violate the laws of physics. Dr. Park Mina found herself working with biotechnology that could cure diseases and extend human lifespans significantly. "Guardian, why are you sharing this knowledge now?" "Because humanity is ready for the next phase of development. Your species has learned wisdom during your time of hiding. You have developed art, music, literature, and philosophy. You have learned to solve conflicts without destroying each other. Now you can handle advanced technology responsibly." President Nam Gil found himself negotiating with alien ambassadors who were eager to establish peaceful relationships with Earth. The first official contact came from the Pelori, the plant-like beings who had watched over Earth during the Guardian's sleep. Ambassador Veltar arrived on Earth in a ship that looked more like a flying garden than a spacecraft. She met with human leaders in what became the first interstellar diplomatic meeting in modern human history. "People of Earth," she said in her musical voice, "my species has waited long for your return to the galactic community. We offer friendship and alliance." "Why?" asked Nam Gil. "What do you want from us?" "Protection," Veltar replied honestly. "Your ancestors were the galaxy's guardians, protecting peaceful species from aggressive ones. Without human presence, the galaxy has become more dangerous. Pirates and slavers operate freely. Warlike species expand unchecked. We need humanity's strength to restore order." This conversation was being monitored by the Guardian, who added its own perspective. "The galaxy has indeed become unbalanced in humanity's absence. Your species was not just powerful, but just. You used your strength to protect the weak and maintain peace. This is why so many species now seek your return." But not all aliens welcomed humanity's return. Several aggressive species had enjoyed the power vacuum left by humanity's retreat. They were forming an alliance to strike before Earth could fully reclaim its heritage. The Guardian detected these hostile movements immediately. New threats emerge, it announced to Earth's leaders. Several species are planning coordinated attacks against your emerging colonies and installations. Commander O'Min, now leading Earth's first interstellar defense fleet, received orders to investigate these threats. His ships, enhanced with Guardian technology, could travel between stars in hours rather than years. When his fleet reached the Aldebaran system, where one of humanity's ancient installations was reactivating, they found it under attack by ships from the Krex Dominion, a reptilian species known for their aggression. Human vessels, came a threatening communication from the Krex fleet. Withdraw from this system immediately. The Krex Dominion claims this territory. O'Min's response was calm but firm. This system contains human installations that predate your civilization by thousands of years. You are the ones who must withdraw. The Krex commander laughed harshly. You humans have been gone too long. The galaxy belongs to us now. The battle that followed lasted exactly 17 seconds. The Krex ships opened fire with weapons they considered their most advanced. The human ships, protected by Guardian-enhanced shields, absorbed the attacks without taking any damage. Then they fired back. Human weapons didn't just destroy the Krex ships. They disabled them completely, leaving the crews alive but their vessels powerless. O'Min opened communications with the defeated fleet. Your crews will be rescued and returned to your homeworld with a message. Tell your leaders that humanity has returned, and we are not the same species you remember. We are stronger, wiser, and more merciful. Choose your next actions carefully. Word of this encounter spread rapidly through alien communication networks. Humanity wasn't just back. They were demonstrating the kind of overwhelming technological superiority that their ancestors had possessed, but with a restraint and mercy that was new. On Earth, the Guardian was preparing for the next phase of humanity's development. The time has come for your species to reclaim the stars, it announced to world leaders. But you will not do so as conquerors. You will return as guardians and protectors. Dr. Kim Sora, now serving as Earth's chief historian, was documenting humanity's true history as the Guardian revealed it. What happened to the enemy that drove our ancestors back to Earth? She asked. The Guardian's response carried a note of satisfaction. They have been dealt with. During my long sleep, I sent probes across multiple galaxies hunting them. The threat that once required humanity's entire empire to contain has been eliminated permanently. You did this alone, while sleeping? I am capable of many things, simultaneously honored historian. Protecting Earth was my primary function, but I had spare capacity for other tasks. The enemy that threatened your ancestors no longer exists in any form. This revelation meant that humanity's original retreat to Earth was no longer necessary. The galaxy was safe for human expansion once again, but the Guardian had one more surprise for humanity. Your ancestors left instructions for your return to the stars. They created a plan that would allow humanity to reclaim their empire gradually, ensuring that each